Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am here to recap Sister Wives, the one-on-one part 2 tell-all. Is it a tell-all even? It doesn't feel like it. I don't feel like we're learning anything new at all. At best, maybe we're just getting confirmation of things we suspected as viewers, but that's about it. I don't really like this setup with the one-on-ones. I would much rather have them all been in a room together. Not because I need some big like blow up confrontation, but it's just I don't know. But I get that feelings and it's maybe just too soon and too sensitive. People are just a little too touchy and defensive. So I understand. So, but what I don't understand is why we're getting another part 3 because they're just like nothing. It's nothing. But I'm gonna recap it for you. We have about 4 or 5 topics to cover. So let's start with the nanny rules, or as I like to call them, the Cody rules. And Christine says that I guess it sounds like this was Isabel's really catalyst to getting these rules down on paper. She says because Isabel was hurt and pissed that a nanny could come and go as she pleased into Robin and Cody's house, but that she was essentially not welcome there, and she didn't understand why, because she just wanted to visit with her family and see her siblings. And so Christine, kind of took it upon herself to find out, like, what does the nanny do in terms of being allowed to come in and what protocols is she following, because she just felt like Cody didn't trust her, because Christine was following protocols and local and state guidelines. And well, I guess there is cause for some distrust a little bit, so we'll get into that in a second. So the host then asks Robin, hey, why didn't you and Cody get these rules on paper to the wives and the kids and the family sooner? Why did it take like 8, 9 months? And Robin's just exacerbated, like, I know. And she says that anytime she tried to broach the subject to Cody about getting these rules out to everybody, he was just always so grumpy, and he was always giving her pushback, telling Robin that why even bother giving everybody a list, because they're not going to follow them anyway. They don't even care, which to me is it's like a cop out, because I mean, maybe they wouldn't have followed them, they kind of didn't, but they did when it came to Christmas. To me, it was just like an excuse to sort of to stay away and not have to deal with them, because throughout this episode, I just get the feeling that Cody just doesn't want to have to deal with everybody. It's like and in all fairness, there's a lot of people and personalities to manage and compromise and appease, and I think he's just tired and worn out. So it was easy just to be like, they won't do it anyway, so why even bother? But to me, that's a cop out. So Janelle says there was just no way she could kick the boys out, that they're 18, they're adults, but they're young men, and the world is a scary place as it is, but you put the whole panorama and the virus on top of that, it's even scary. And she just wanted to protect them from that, and it would just, she's not gonna do that. And she does mention that Gabe and Garrison have moved out and they're on their own. And where the whole distrust thing comes from, Cody not trusting everybody, is that the boys did, I guess, lie to Cody and said, oh, we followed these rules, but really didn't. And he would see them on social media at gatherings, or I don't even know where. I don't follow them on social media, but he was finding out on social media what they were really up to, and that really upset him. Understandably so. It's not cool to lie. And so Cody says that his relationship with Gabe and Garrison is in a really bad place, that they don't really talk, just here and there. It kind of sounds like it's like a need to know basis kind of relationship, and that they probably all need counseling and therapy to get through this, because Cody is very angry with them, and he knows that the boys are angry with him. And not just Gabe and Garrison, but he says he knows there's a lot of kids of his that aren't really happy with the way he navigated this whole thing, or his beliefs, or all that. And he says he loves his kids, and that the idea of buying this property on Coyote Pass was that, the kids can come and live there and build homes there, and that was the idea. But he's just frustrated because he sees that his kids want his company, but they just, they don't respect him or follow his rules. But I mean, follow rules, Cody. I mean, a lot of your kids are adults, and they make their own decisions, and they have their own set of rules that he in turn has to respect too. I don't like when families fall apart or become estranged in this way. And I do hope that they can find their way back to a happier place all with each other. But there's a lot of them, and you're not going to agree on everything, and it's going to take some time. And yeah, emotions right now and feelings right now, they're really, really hurt and they're not in a good place. But hopefully, at some point, this family can come back together. But there's still a lot of dust that has to settle. Then the topic of Thanksgiving comes up, that whole conversation, where Cody gave, as he called it, his shit-eaten grin, where he just like looked at everybody all like psycho-like, smiling and wishing them a happy Thanksgiving. He says that he was just really frustrated and annoyed, and that was his way of just saying, okay, see ya, bye, whatever, live your life. Janelle says that when they were given the nanny rules that were written down so that they could possibly get together for Thanksgiving, it was only maybe 10 days before Thanksgiving, and it just wasn't realistic given the time they had to be able to adhere to all these things to safely get together. So it was just impossible for her and her boys to be able to do that. And, she walked off. She told Cody to F off. And the host asked Cody if he thought about going after Janelle or trying to stop her. And he's just like, no, absolutely not. Like, why would I do that? Well, because you see that she's really upset. But no, that's not the way Cody thinks. He says that at that point, there was just too much water under the bridge between him and Janelle. She was just being so disloyal to him, choosing the boys over him. And in that moment, he was just relieved to not have to reach out to her anymore. And that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I think any opportunity he has to not have to deal with the other wives who aren't Robin, he'll take it. So if Janelle is leaving in a huff and is going to be pissed for a few days or a week, good. He gets a break from her. You know what I'm trying to say? So anyway, Christine says that she knows that Cody was really hurt and sad the family at large wasn't getting together, and that Robin was disappointed too, and she felt bad. She's not trying to disappoint everybody, she says, but that she had older kids who wanted to see her and spend the holiday with her, and her and Cody were just in a really bad place. And yeah, who would want to spend a holiday with somebody doesn't like you and doesn't want to be around you? Had she gone to Robin and Cody's Thanksgiving, it probably would have been really awkward and uncomfortable. And yeah, thank you for sparing us all of that. But she says if her and Cody had been in a better place, she probably would have made the effort and the sacrifice and gone. That's just not where they are right now. And Cody says he understands where Christina's coming from, wanting to get together with the older kids, but that, everybody has to make sacrifices, and I guess she's not. But Cody, my question is really honestly, like all sarcasm aside, what sacrifice have you made? Like truly, like what has, I don't, because I just, if you guys, and I'm really trying to be fair, what has Cody sacrificed? I don't think really anything. He's where he wants to be with Robin all the time. A sacrifice for him would have been pulling himself away from Robin and that family to go be with Isabel for her surgery, which would have meant at least 2 weeks of being away. That would have been a sacrifice that he couldn't do. So Cody, what exactly have you sacrificed? Because he's saying that his wives are being jackwagons about this whole COVID situation, and because they don't understand the realities and the ramifications of what could happen. And when he calls them jackwagons, that is code for jackasses. He's calling his wives a bunch of jackasses, like they don't know the realities and that they aren't taking it seriously. We know that Christine and Janelle, and I'll throw Mary in there even though she is a total non-factor in any of this, they did follow COVID protocols and guidelines, local and state and all those things. I just think these rules were just making it so it was really, really difficult to get together. It was like jumping through a bunch of hoops, but whatever. He says that he just doesn't understand why other plural families and polygamists are able to navigate this time of the whole panorama, and that his family can't. He doesn't understand why Janelle was just so passive with his boys, and that Christine could just, move on, marriage be damned. But I don't think that has anything to do with this whole COVID situation. Like Christine, Christine leaving, this might have sped the process up, but she's leaving because you just don't want to be with her anymore, because you don't want to get down with her anymore. And Janelle being passive with the boys, it's not, like she said, she was never going to kick them out. That's not how they raise their kids. It's not how they, it's just, I guess it's easy for Cody to blame all of this on the Rona, when I think it revealed things and it might have sped things up, but these were problems and issues that were always there to begin with. So yeah, Cody, why couldn't you all navigate it better? Yeah, I mean, so that was pretty much it for that topic. That says, see, and did we learn anything new? No, not really. All right, let's move on. Then the topic of Janelle and Christine's friendship comes up. What can I say? It's sweet. It's great that they actually really get along, honestly. Janelle says that their relationship has just kind of grown organically and evolved over time. That at first, Janelle, when Christine came into the family, Janelle didn't really take to her. Christine married Cody just 1 year after Janelle had, and Janelle says that she just thought she was a big princess. However, she did appreciate the buffer that Christine created so that it didn't feel so one-on-one. And I don't know if Janelle meant like one-on-one with Cody or one-on-one with Mary or both, but I thought that was interesting, and we'll come back to that in a second. We'll put a pin in that one-on-one comment. And Janelle says that a lot of their bond comes from the raising of their children and the big hand that Christine had in helping to raise Janelle's kids. But, you know, Cody sees Janelle and Christine's relationship as being cliquey and that there can be bullying and it comes at the expense of excluding other wives and kids. And Janelle just doesn't appreciate that Cody sees their friendship so negatively, and that she says there's no bullying going on nor any exclusion, that anytime Janelle and Christine got together, anybody was welcome to join them and participate, but that people just weren't comfortable doing so. So what can you do? You can't force people to want to hang out with you, so it is what it is. The host asks Christine if maybe Cody is jealous of her friendship and relationship with Janelle, and that just makes Christine laugh because she says it's ironic if it's true, because there is, or there can be, a lot of jealousy in plural marriage, but it's usually amongst the wives, not a husband and the relationship sister wives have with one another. But yeah, it is what it is. Then the topic kind of turned to Cody's relationship with Janelle, and the host had asked Cody how he's able to maintain such like an in-sync marriage with Janelle, and his answer kind of surprised me because he said he's not in sync with Janelle. And I thought, okay, probably because they just can't get on the same page about the protocols and the nanny rules and what to do with adult kids living in the house. But then he said that they don't partner well. But that surprised me because I always thought they partnered very well together, because I always feel like there's this understanding between them. Cody says that they just have a lower like attachment to one another, like they're not so needy for each other, but that they are committed. Now, the feeling I get from Janelle, or that I have always gotten from Janelle, and I don't know this woman, I've never met her, this is just like the feeling I get, I could be wrong. She always struck me as somebody who is kind of like asexual, and I don't mean that like in a bad way. I just, you know, I think she's very independent. I think she's a very smart, very wise, like she can foresee like possibilities. You know, she's kind of a 3 steps ahead kind of thinker. And I think she is somebody who wanted a family and wanted kids, but maybe didn't necessarily want like their traditional husband, but wanted a father, like a good dad that could help her raise the kids and be present and be a good provider. And she saw that and found that in Cody. And we know that Janelle wasn't raised in a polygamous family, but she researched it and thought it was like would work for her. I think because, like I said, I don't think she wanted necessarily the traditional husband. Like, she's somebody who didn't just want the husband, she really wanted the family. And I think that was Christine's tagline, but I think it's more so true for Janelle. And so her comment about not like liking Christine coming into the family so it wasn't so one-on-one with Cody is because, not because I don't think she was uncomfortable with Cody or didn't like him, but just like she didn't need a husband to be there like every single day, like 24/7, like, you know, bugging you. That's just, and that's like with all due respect, like I respect if that's how she feels. She tells the host that Cody is her best friend, and as far as like intimacy, emotionally, physically, they're good. They're fine. There's no problem there. That was her, I think, kind of like shutting the host down. Like, don't even ask. Like, don't even go there. Because we all want to know whether or not her and Cody have been intimate. And we can probably guess the answer. But it really is none of our business. That is her private life. She doesn't owe us that answer. Because I just don't think she has to or wants to explain it. But their marriage is a marriage of convenience at this point. And Cody says, the host asks Cody, do you love Janelle? And he says yes. but the host says, "Are you in love with Janelle?" And he kind of hesitates and says, "Well, no, but if you asked Janelle and she was being honest, she would say the same thing." And I was just like, why are you asking? Like, why can't he just own it? Like, no, I'm not in love with her, and we'll ask Janelle and see what you know what I mean? Like, he just wants to get the heat off him, which I guess I don't blame him. I don't know. It's like, whatever. When they asked Christine, like, what she thinks of Janelle and Cody's relationship and how Janelle is able to navigate, basically what Cody's giving, which is what he's giving Janelle, nothing as far as like intimacy goes. Christine can't really answer those questions. That's for Janelle to say, but she says that she's had conversations with Janelle, and Janelle has told her she's not gonna go anywhere. She's not leaving, that she always thought Cody was a good dad, that she still believes that he's a good dad, and so she's fine where she is. And Christine respects that hey, maybe she doesn't need Cody to fill her love tank. She could do that on her own, but Christine has different needs, and that's fine. And I know everybody's sort of on this bandwagon, like we all want Janelle to leave and we all want Mary to leave, but I just think that if they're happy with where they are in their relationship with Cody, that's fine. Like, I don't expect Janelle to leave. Maybe Mary, and on a side note, I know Mary put out this long like dissertation on, was it Instagram, about, and it was all very like elusive, for the first time she was able to use the word estrangement when talking about a relationship, like we don't know the relationship she's talking about. And I mean, that's what I've always said, like her and Cody are estranged. They only get together when they have to film scenes. Otherwise, he does not come around. He does not reach out. He does not call her. And so maybe it's just taking her longer to get there. She also was mentioning how people are calling her pathetic and worthless and unworthy. And I know in one of my reviews, I did use the word pathetic when I was talking about Mary. And I apologize if it seemed like I was calling her pathetic. I wasn't trying to say that Mary's pathetic. I was saying like the way she was acting, because I do, and maybe that's the same thing, it's semantics, but to me, I feel like Mary is smart. She's not stupid. She's totally aware of everything that's going on, and she said so. But what was pathetic to me was this character she's leaning into, this long-suffering wife who's pining for Cody, who'll take what he can get, otherwise if you don't want him, send him my way. But I don't really think that's how she feels. I feel like she's playing that up for the camera, and I don't think it was a good look for her. But anybody saying that she's worthless or unworthy is wrong, because she's totally worthy of love if that's what she wants. And it's also been brought up in my comments by commenters that maybe the reason, another reason why Mary is hesitant to leave and sort of dip her toe back into the dating waters is she really got burned by that whole catfish situation and probably traumatized and hurt, and is scared to put herself back out in that dating scene. And I don't blame her for that. So everybody, I guess myself included, we need to like let the catfish thing go, move on, let her live her life however she wants to live it, and to be kind. So I'm just going to leave it there. I do wish Mary well, whatever she decides to do. Same thing with Janelle. If Janelle wants to stay and she's happy, then good. Like, whatever makes you happy. It's 2022. You do you. All right, let's finish this off with the basement wife topic. This is actually a throwback. This conversation about being a basement wife was last season, 15. Remember, how can we forget? Cody wanted to build one big gigantic house on the land that they can all live in together. That was his dream. Now, the way the votes kind of landed, you had Janelle, who was totally for it, wanted to do it, totally down, because as we know, she didn't have a problem seeing Cody leave on a date with another wife. That doesn't bother her because they don't have that kind of relationship, remember? You had Mary, who I think, remember when the producers would ask her, do you want one house or do you not? She wouldn't answer. She'd just be like, I'm not going to say yet, because I think she would have gone with the majority. If everybody agreed to do it, she would have been fine to do it. If everybody was against it, she's fine not to do it. She just goes the way of the show. If that's what you want me to do, I'll do what you need me to do. Then you had Robin, who I think was a little bit more on the fence, because again, she never lived in one house with everybody, so she didn't understand like what the dynamics had been in the past. But I think she could have been very easily persuaded to do it because that's what Cody wanted, and she wants to make him happy. She wants him to have his dream. However, she saw how against it Christine was and was trying to understand what that was about. So she went over to Christine one day to have a conversation, and that's when Christine brought up being a basement wife, which was her basically, or like any polygamous wife, being put in the basement and sort of hidden away and kept on the down low because, you know, if you're in a community that isn't largely polygamous, you kind of keep her a secret. And she just felt like she was never head mom. She was never queen wife. She was always just kind of there raising the kids. Now, Cody reminds us that when it was just him and Mary and Janelle at first, that he was living in a fresh new hell every single day because those women could just not get along, and he didn't know how to, I don't know, referee at all. And so when Christine came into the family, he says that she provided this great buffer for everybody, and she kind of took the burden off of him by being able to keep the peace among everybody. And it was a beautiful thing. So really what he's saying is he just put that on her shoulders that she carried for the next 10 years. On top of being the main caregiver for all of the kids, she really lost herself. Also, she touched on the fact that she oftentimes, not only was she putting like herself last, but sometimes she'd put like her own biological kids like behind the other kids. She didn't want the other kids to feel slighted, like she was favoring her kids. Like it's very tricky. And I think it was exhausting. All of this was exhausting for Janelle. And when she would go to Cody and tell him, hey, I'm overwhelmed. Hey, this is a lot. He would basically tell her, suck it up, buttercup. This is what you signed up for. This is what you agreed to. And he was fine to just put that all on her. And so when they were able to move to Las Vegas and have their separate houses, I think Christine felt relief that she didn't have to carry all of that, you know, the responsibility of raising all the kids 24/7 and having to like keep the peace among everybody. And so, yeah, why would she want to go back to that, especially not being able just to like freely be affectionate with her husband and her house, all of that stuff. That's why she didn't want to go back to that. And I think Robin was understanding to that, and you know, she respected where Christine was coming from. But I think this was really the final straw for Cody when it came to him and Christine's relationship. I mean, I think they were having problems before this, but this was I think the ultimate betrayal. Not her telling Mary I can't do marriage with Cody anymore. I mean, she was saying that because he was so like shutting her out at that point. This, I think, is what really, you know, soured Cody to Christine. And so now in this segment, we have Robin just breaking down at every question she's asked because she's so hurt and so frustrated and so angry with what has happened to Cody and Christine's marriage. And the host asks her, you know, you do realize that you are the only wife in a full marriage with Cody. And yeah, she knows, and she starts crying, and she's just like so upset, and she's just like, you know, wiping her tears away and just like, shit, damn it, I'm sorry. Like, how am I going to get through this interview? Because I think she knows that the tough questions are going to come. And I think that for her, a lot of it falls in Cody's lap, but she doesn't want to throw him under the bus. She doesn't want to put the blame on him because that's her husband, who she loves, who she's trying to protect. But really, if you're so upset, you need to take it to him, because she's saying she doesn't understand why Cody and Christine can't just figure this out, talk it out, fight for it, work this out, try to like remember the things they love about each other. And I'm like, girl, Cody never really loved Christine, not like that. And she's saying, why can't they just find a compromise? Well, there is no compromising with Cody. I think there was a point when their marriage was, you know, hitting the skids, where I think Christine would have been open and willing to go to a therapist, a counselor, to work this out and save her marriage. I really believe that. But when Cody is telling her, I don't want to be intimate with you, never again, well, that's his sort of like line in the sand. And that's not something Christine can compromise on. That's something, you know, and again, not to like drag Mary into it, but if it's any indication, when Cody says he is done with the wife that he doesn't trust and doesn't feel safe with, and it's just never going to be like that again, he means that. And Christine, that's not the road she wants to go down. And when the host asks Robin if she can relate to Christine, because as we all know, Robin has been through a divorce herself, if maybe she can sympathize with Christine's plight, no, hashtag can't relate. Robin can't really relate. She says that where Christine is in her marriage with Cody, when Robin was in that position with her ex-husband, she kept trying. She kept fighting for it. And where did that get you, Robin? I mean, did it work? Did it help to keep going? I mean, wouldn't it be smart for Christine to cut her losses now and not waste any more time, fighting a losing battle? I don't think Robin sees it that way, obviously, because Robin, look where you are now. You are now married to, I would argue, the love of your life. You're having kids with him. You're happy. He's happy. You're getting what you need. Why wouldn't you want that for Christine? Doesn't she deserve the same happiness? I mean, if she really thought about it, but I think Robin is just, she's clouded by all of it because she says she wants people to realize and see that she does love the family, that she does want them to stay together and she does care, but that she just always gets blamed for everything because she gets along with Cody. And I think there's some truth to that. But I mean, but what? I mean, it's a marriage between them. But Robin says she doesn't consider Cody and Christine divorced because who they are married by, like in their church and religion, I guess the elders have to like sign off on a divorce, and that hasn't happened. But whatever. And I'm just like, girl, they're doing. When the host asks Christine, "Where are you and Cody?" She says, "We are divorced. Like we are divorced. It's done. I don't need some church elder to sign off on it when I haven't been a part of that church for who knows how long." And I agree. I mean, I would argue a benefit of a spiritual marriage is that you don't have to go through all the legalities of a divorce. You can just walk away. What's yours is yours. What's mine is mine. And I think Christine was very smart to have bought that house in Flagstaff. And I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing Cody probably wasn't on the title. So when she sold it, she got that money lock, stock, and barrel and hightailed it to Utah and bought herself another new beautiful house. Good for her. Cody says that he can see that, Christine obviously doesn't feel the same way she used to about polygamy, her faith, the religion. She doesn't really believe in it anymore. I don't know if that's true because, Christine just said she hasn't been part of that faith or religion for a long time. But Cody says that, because the host is asking, what does this mean for you and the afterlife? And he says, God has a way of working everything out, and I agree. And Christine says that it wasn't a decision she made lightly. She knew a lot of people were going to be hurt. She was going to break a lot of hearts when she moved on, and that wasn't her intent. She's sorry for that. But this is between her and God now, and she knows that God wants her to be happy, and he does. And that what she ultimately wants for everybody is to feel loved and find happiness. And yes, I agree. Go find your love and happiness, Christine. And that was pretty much it. I don't know. What did you guys think? I'm sorry if this recap is a little lackluster. It's just these one-on-ones are just like not really, like I said, nothing new here to uncover. And it's just like I'm trying. I'm trying. If I forgot anything, and I probably did, you guys can leave it in the comments. And I do read all the comments. I do respond to all the comments because I like talking about it. And, let me know what you guys think. We have one more episode and then we're done with this. Thank you, because there's just there's nothing to talk. We've talked it to death. Anyway, you guys, rate, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Bye.